Hi, this is Cassidy Moravik, the Manager of Operations for Patient Central, and I'm going to be going over some basic pancreatic cancer facts and then also information about our patient services program. So to start, just a little bit of an overview of the organization as a whole. So the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network is fully committed to providing the most comprehensive set of programs and services to fight pancreatic cancer. And our commitment and passion is really driven by our mission to advance research, support patients, advocate for federal funding, and also create awareness and visibility for the cause. So first we're going to go over some basic pancreatic cancer facts, and first we'll talk about the pancreas. So what is the pancreas? The pancreas is a gland that is located deep in the abdomen. It's sandwiched between the stomach and the spine, which is why some of the symptoms of pancreatic cancer aren't seen until the disease is more advanced. And the pancreas has two main responsibilities. One is to create the enzymes that help digest the foods that we eat, so the proteins, the fats, and the carbohydrates that we consume when we eat food. And then the other part of the pancreas is responsible for the production of hormones that help regulate blood sugar levels. So hormones such as insulin and glucagon that regulate the amount of blood sugar in the body. So a little bit about pancreatic cancer. So pancreatic cancer can occur when cells in the pancreas become abnormal and start to grow out of control. So there are two main types of pancreatic cancer, and these main types develop from the different cells within the pancreas. So adenocarcinoma is the most common type of pancreatic cancer, and it arises from some of the cells that are involved with the production and secretion of enzymes that help digest our food. And then the pancreatic neuroendocrine tumors, otherwise known as PNETs, or islet cell tumors, are tumors that arise in the cells that create the hormones that help regulate blood sugar and other processes within the body. And just some basic facts about pancreatic cancer. So right now, pancreatic cancer is the fourth leading cause of cancer-related death in the United States. And it is anticipated to become the second leading cause of cancer-related death by 2020. It's also projected that pancreatic cancer will actually surpass breast cancer to become the third leading cause of cancer-related death sometime in this year, 2015. And pancreatic cancer is also one of the nation's deadliest cancers, with a 5-year survival rate of just 7%. And it's estimated about 72% of patients will die within their first year of diagnosis. In just this year alone, it's estimated that almost 49,000 people will be diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in the United States, and approximately 40,500 will die from the disease. So a little bit of information about treatment options. The pancreatic cancer is treated with various options based on the stage and type of pancreatic cancer that the person is diagnosed with. It's very common for someone to receive chemotherapy, and chemotherapy is often used to treat any stage of pancreatic cancer. And chemotherapy is a treatment that targets the rapidly dividing cells within the body, which includes cancer cells. And many of the standard treatments for stage 4 pancreatic cancer do include some type of chemotherapy. Some patients may also receive radiation therapy, and it can be used generally with pancreatic cancer to treat the cancer either before or after surgery. It's very common for radiation therapy to be combined with chemotherapy, again, either before or after surgery. Some patients may also receive targeted therapy. And targeted therapy is a type of therapy that uses drugs that actually attack a unique aspect on cancer cells. So it could be a protein, it could be a pathway that's turned on in the cells, and these drugs are often given in combination with chemotherapy, and there are many targeted therapies that are being used in clinical trials. Also, there is surgery. So surgery can be used to remove the tumor in some people with pancreatic cancer. So there are different types of surgeries for pancreatic cancer, and the Whipple procedure is probably the one that you will hear about the most, as it is the most common surgical procedure for pancreatic cancer. And basically, the Whipple procedure removes cancer in the head of the pancreas, also removes some of the stomach, some of the small intestine, and then also the gallbladder. You may also hear about a distal pancreatectomy where they remove the tail of the pancreas, or a total pancreatectomy where they remove the entire pancreas. Also, clinical trials are also a treatment option for pancreatic cancer. So clinical trials are research studies that investigate new treatments or new combinations of existing treatments in pancreatic cancer. And as an organization, we do recommend that patients consider clinical trials when they're exploring their treatment options. And this is really because clinical trials provide patients access to new and potentially better treatments, and it also helps to advance research. So through clinical trials, there are many different treatments that are being studied, from chemotherapy, radiation therapy, targeted therapy, immunotherapy, and even different treatments used with surgery. So clinical trials are really what's going to help us advance the disease and find more treatment options. So now to go into a little bit of information about patient services, I'll give you an overview of the Patient Central and then also just some information about our associates. So first, Patient Central really is the premier source of quality, reliable information for people with pancreatic cancer. We also talk to families and friends and healthcare professionals. The Patient Central program is comprised of highly trained associates, so we have associates on staff that go through a rigorous training process. And basically how the program works is that someone calls or emails into the program. They're connected with a Patient Central associate, and that associate can discuss a variety of information. So they can provide disease and treatment information, they can provide information on clinical trials. Then also we do have specialized services. So we do have a clinical trials database that we can search for clinical trials that the patient would qualify for. We also have our Know Your Tumor personalized medicine service, which I will talk about later. The patient registry, which I will also touch on later, and our survivor and caregiver network, which is a support service that I will go into a little bit more detail on later. We also can tell patients and caregivers about educational events that we're hosting that are in their area, or even webinars that are happening throughout the year. And then after the associate talks to the caregiver or the patient, they then provide an education packet that's mailed within 24 hours, and they can also send out a follow-up email with information that was discussed over the phone. And then any time that the patient or caregiver calls back into Patient Central, they're connected with the same Patient Central associate. So this is really so the conversation can continue, so that the patient or caregiver doesn't have to retell their story over and over again, and really gets to talk to someone who can pick up the conversation where they left off. So I mentioned that the associates are highly trained, so they do go through a rigorous training program, and then they also do continuing education throughout their employment here. So they are staff members, and we do look for individuals with bachelor's and master's degrees, and they do, like I said, undergo a rigorous training program. We have a trainer on staff that really trains the associates about all of the aspects of pancreatic cancer to learn about every single topic that we talk about. One thing that's important to note, though, even though the associates are trained on all of this information related to pancreatic cancer, they're not providing any medical or nutritional advice. So jumping into some policies and legal considerations when you're talking about Patient Central associates. So like I mentioned, they can't provide medical advice, so they're not going to replace doctors. They're not going to replace the advice that a patient would get from a doctor, but they can provide the educational materials that can help the patient and the caregiver talk to the doctor about their options. They also are not psychological or psychiatric counselors. We do have resources that we're able to refer people out to if they are looking for that type of counseling, but the associates themselves are not trained in counseling. We also cannot provide any personal information about interactions with patients and caregivers. So we have a very strict privacy policy within Patient Central that anything discussed with the associate is confidential and remains confidential. So we're not going to be sharing information about interactions of people that call into or email into the program. We also don't send any unsolicited mail or email communication or make unsolicited phone calls. So this is really just to protect the privacy of the patients and the caregivers and make sure that when they're contacting us that they're ready to hear from us. So if someone asks for us to call their mother because she's been recently diagnosed, we'll let them know that their mother is welcome to reach out to us, but in case she's not in the place that she wants to talk to somebody about her diagnosis, we'll let them know that we're going to need to wait for her to contact us first. So with that in mind, because the associates are trained on all of this information about pancreatic cancer, they are also trained to consider liability, legal, medical, and ethical issues when they're providing any information through Patient Central. So into some of the educational offerings, so we have many resources available through Patient Central. Some of the ones that you might have seen already are some of our booklets. So we do publish 5 booklets on a variety of topics related to pancreatic cancer. One is an overview of pancreatic cancer, which gives a general overview of the disease, including symptoms, information on diagnostic tools, and even some information on treatment. We also do have a booklet on diet and nutrition that goes into the diet and nutrition concerns related to pancreatic cancer and also to receiving treatment for pancreatic cancer. There's also a booklet on clinical trials that discusses some of the frequently asked questions about clinical trials and then really walks the patient through the clinical trial process, what to expect, and what types of questions to ask their doctors. We also do have a booklet on hospice that discusses end-of-life care from the practical needs to emotional needs and really just giving an idea of what to expect at the end of life. We also do have a booklet on palliative care and quality of life. So this really goes into symptom and side effect management. So it's care that can be given alongside active cancer treatment and really talks about symptom management for pancreatic cancer patients. So all of those are available for healthcare professionals to order, and they're also available through Patient Central for patients and caregivers. And then finally, we do have an extensive collection of fact sheets that are available through Patient Central, where patients and caregivers can really get drilled down information on specific topics that they're interested in. So the associates are available to send out all of that information. We also do have educational programs. So as I alluded to, we do have in-person educational events held across the United States, and those are held throughout the year, and we usually do about 8 to 10 programs throughout the year. And then we also do have educational webinars that are done also throughout the year, and those are really available to people worldwide. So we have international callers into the program that listen to the webinars from all over the world. The really important thing with the educational programs to note is that we utilize healthcare professionals who are specializing in pancreatic cancer. So when we go to in-person events, we really look at and find doctors who are specializing in pancreatic cancer in those areas and are able to talk on topics such as treatment options, clinical trials, research that's going on, diet and nutrition, and symptom management, just to name a few. Also, for our educational webinars, we also find experts in the field to talk on the topics that we're discussing at that time. Also, all of our materials are reviewed and approved by our scientific and medical advisory boards to make sure that the information is accurate and up to date so that we're providing the best information to our constituents. For the Survivor and Caregiver Network, this is a unique program for us that we have actually a network of volunteers who are available to speak to patients and caregivers one-on-one. So it is a peer-to-peer matching program where we have volunteers from across the country who are available either by phone or by email, and they're available to speak to those recently diagnosed or just anyone really looking for support, and they're a source of inspiration and also shared experiences. So they can't give any medical advice, but they're there to listen to the situation that the caller is talking about and provide their inspiration, provide their shared experiences, and just to really share that they've gone through this as well. So when we're looking at matching with our Survivor and Caregiver Network volunteers, we look at a variety of things. So we want to match someone with as similar as a situation as possible. So we first start with the stage and type of pancreatic cancer. So as I mentioned earlier, there are different types of pancreatic cancer and they're treated differently. So we'll start there to make sure we can get a fairly similar experience. We'll also look at treatment similarities, gender and age if the caller has a preference to speak to someone close to their age or their same gender. And then we'll also look at location, so where they are located throughout the country, just to keep in mind time zones. Another service that we have just recently launched is our clinical trial finder. So since 2010, we've had an in-house database of clinical trials. It's the most comprehensive database of clinical trials within the United States. And just recently, this past spring, we launched the trial finder to the public that allows the public to have access to these trials. So patients and family members and even healthcare professionals can go on and do a personalized search based on the type and stage of pancreatic cancer the patient has, what treatment they've received, and how far they're willing to travel. So you can go to pancan.org/clinical trials and actually find information on clinical trials that you would qualify for. We also have a Know Your Tumor personalized medicine service. So this is available through Patient Central. And really what happens with this program is that someone who's interested in the program will call into Patient Central. The associate will assist the eligible patients with actually gaining access to molecular profiling. So the associates will look for just some general eligibility criteria to make sure the person is eligible, and then they'll connect them with the company we're working with, Prothera, who will actually lead the process of coordinating the tissue collection through a biopsy and also getting that tissue to the testing companies. And then once the molecular tests are done, the company we're working with actually puts together a report that actually has information about the biology of the patient's tumor that can help with treatment selection. So this report is given to the patient and to the doctor, and it outlines the mutations that were found in the tumor and what treatment options may be available based on that information. And this information does include clinical trials. So in this report are clinical trials that the patient may qualify for. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the patient registry. So the registry we just soft launched, so we're just testing it out with a few patients right now. And really what the registry is for is to allow patients to provide information about their experiences with pancreatic cancer, to help researchers learn more about the disease, and also for them to keep information all in one place. So through the registry, the patients can actually provide information about their diagnosis, their treatment history, medical history, and also any information they learned from the molecular profiling through Know Your Tumor. And with this information, the patients can actually set security profiles, so they can actually set who can see this information, so they can keep it just to themselves and not share it with anyone, or they can allow access for researchers to see the information to learn more about their experiences and more about the patient experience with pancreatic cancer as a whole. So for more information about Patient Central, or if you need to refer someone to Patient Central for information and resources for HOPE, you can tell them to call Patient Central at 877-272-6226 or email patientcentral@pancan.org. All of our associates are available Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time and can provide information on treatment options, clinical trials, support resources, and a variety of other topics. So at this time, we'll take questions.
So how do you determine the locations for the educational program?
So that is actually handled by someone here on staff, Chris, who actually handles our educational events, and she actually works to coordinate the events and actually works to see which areas have affiliates. So we do try to do educational events where we do have affiliate support. So that's the number one thing. And then she also looks to see where we've had events in the past, where we have events coming up this year. So we do try to spread the events across the country, so they're not all in the south, not all in the east, and really just scatter them throughout the country. So she works diligently to make sure that we have in-person events across the country.
Is the Know Your Tumor data available for patient services even if it doesn't go into the registry?
Yes, so the Know Your Tumor reports that are generated through Know Your Tumor. So basically what happens is a copy does go to the doctor and the patient, and then we also receive a copy here at headquarters. So that information we have available to us to learn what's going on with the patients at our level, and we can look at those reports so we can actually follow up with the patient and ask if they have any questions and see how they're doing with the treatment options that are outlined. So that information, we do get a copy of the report, but that is held on secure servers, so all of the patient information is safe.
What is a good way to make patients feel like they want to use the registry?
So the registry has a couple different pieces to it. So it definitely is about making information available to researchers. So one way to talk about the registry to patients who may want to give back to the disease or want to help out in some way would be to let them know that the information that they provide about their experiences can actually be combined with everyone else who's participating in the registry to help researchers actually learn more about the disease as a whole to help with treatment options and really advancing the treatment for the disease down the line. And then it also serves as a way for patients to keep their information all in one place. So the registry is set up where they can actually access the information that they've put in, so they can actually keep that. It's kind of like a journal. They can keep it all in one place. So if they need to go back and find a scan that they've uploaded, they have access to that all the time.
Where can someone find the registry?
So the registry is located on pancan.org. The specific URL is pancan.org/patient registry.
Okay. And then can past patients use the registry, or people who have gone through treatment already?
Yes, so the registry is really gathering experiences from everyone affected with pancreatic cancer. So if you're currently on treatment, you can access the registry. If you've completed treatment and have been disease-free from years and you really just want to share your experiences about what you experienced when you were on treatment or even what you're experiencing right now, you can share that information in the registry. So it is open to anyone who's been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. It's also open to caregivers of individuals with pancreatic cancer. So if you've recently lost a loved one to pancreatic cancer and you want to put in information about their experiences, you can do that as well. All right, thank you so much for your time. And again, if you need to refer anyone to Patient Central, the phone number is 877-272-6226, or you can email patientcentral@pancan.org. And thank you very much for joining us today.